All right, let's just jump right into The Conjuring 2 here. I was looking for this on my shelf and I couldn't find it because I remembered I was gonna buy it and I didn't for some reason. So good thing Walmart over here had it because that is the only place I can buy movies in this damn town. And otherwise I would have had to buy it online and wait for it to come a few days because I ain't gonna rent it on, video on demand and then buy it. So it would have been a little while, but thank God they had it, and so that I could knock this out tonight. So when I saw this in theaters, when I saw this the first time, I was just shocked by this Amityville opening. It felt like I was in a different film. So when it kind of fades in, and we see those iconic Amityville windows, I was like, what the hell? And it says Amityville at the bottom. I was like, did I walk into the wrong movie? How cool is this? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the real house, the real Amityville house, doesn't actually have those windows, or did they? I thought they were just for the film itself. I could be wrong on this for sure. But if that's true, then they use the windows from the film, which makes the most sense. And that's why they started in that room, so we would be like, Amityville. Like, you just instantly, it was almost like a crossover of two franchises, but these are both based on true events, and the Warrens did investigate the Amityville house. It makes sense. I didn't really know anything about their cases, and when the Amityville house came on, those windows and everything, I don't know, it really set a good tone for me. I was like, that was so cool. What a fun little connection. And then the rest of the film, I just had a blast. I think this is such a fantastic sequel, which makes sense. I mean, you're bringing back everyone from the first one, the directors and everybody. So that doesn't always spell success by any means. Oh my God. Look at the second Sin City movie. They got like everybody back for that. I don't understand what happened to that movie. Now, you may like it and that's totally fine. But I thought, I'm not here to talk about Sin City. But wow, that is an example of everyone coming back and everything going wrong, in my opinion. The Ronnie DeFeo reenactment I thought was excellent. I like that trickery of editing where they jump cut things. They do it throughout the film, but one of the more effective ones is when she's going around and she's being kind of Ronnie DeFeo stand-in there, and she's holding the invisible gun, she cocks it, and then shoots the kids, and instead of like seeing the bullet wound in her and blood splatter everywhere, it just jumps cut to the aftermath of it. It kind of like cracks their body a little bit, just because it's just a leap in time, a couple seconds, but it's a very effective, jump cut. It's a very effective little trick. And I like it. And they use it throughout the film, like someone's standing here, and then they're standing like right in front of you. I like it. It just plays on the senses and is an effective visual scare. It's kind of like a jump scare. It is, but I don't know. It's creative, and of course you can't overuse it, but I feel like this film uses it, sparingly and effectively. So, but it sets it right there. And they do it in Insidious, they do it in all these. I'm not saying this is the first or anything like it. I've seen it all over the place, but I do like it when it's done right. And in this film it is. The last film spawned the Annabelle doll, which had its own 2 films. This one brings in The Nun, which has already got its own movie. It is done. It's in post-production as we speak. And it's supposed to come out like September 7th or something. And the Crooked Man thing, I don't know if that will ever happen. I feel like they ignore the origins to make their own movies, even though it's like exploring like the Conjuring universe, as I called my videos. I don't know. I would have to look at the story being told in The Conjuring 1 about Annabelle, because what they were saying, I don't feel like matched up with what I saw in the films, right? I'm right on that. I would have to watch them back to back. This isn't a franchise I'm super familiar with. This is only the second time I've seen, or I think the third time I've seen this one. the first one that I just watched yesterday, I think it's like the second time I've seen it, maybe the third at best. And then the Annabelle movies I've seen once each. Oh no, I saw the first Annabelle twice because I did one for this channel. So not a lot. It's not like the Halloweens or the Friday the 13th where I've seen them fucking 50, 100 times each. So I know every single intimate little detail. But I don't remember that being the case. Like when I was listening to their story in the opening yesterday, I was like, I don't feel like that matches up with the films. So, you know, little creative liberty and inaccuracies there on the continuity, which I'm not a big fan of. If you're gonna do it, but I just remember, yeah, like in this, the nun is not actually the nun, it's Valak, this demon, and now they're gonna do a nun origin, like where'd this nun come from? Like, isn't it just Valak? And then the Crooked Man is just yet another incarnation of Valak itself, so like how can it get its own movie with an origins? You know what I mean? It's kind of just like, fuck it. Like, they look cool, so we'll throw them in a movie, and we'll ignore everything said in these. That just annoys me a little bit. Like, if you're gonna put these in here specifically to have franchises built off of them, you know, spin-off movies, which is a fine idea. I'm not opposed to that at all. Spin-off films and whatnot, if they're popular characters and they work and they can, you know, warrant their own film and they're good, fine. But set that up in place, like leave their background a mystery so that it can be explored in the film. You don't even need to address it. It doesn't need to be said at all. So, nor here nor there. This one takes place in 1977, which is 6 years after the event of the first film. This little girl in this is caught smoking with her bad influence little friend. We all have one of those when we were growing up, or we were one of those. Is it one or the other? One or the other. And so this one, it takes a different turn because in the first one, everything is kind of more hush-hush. And they're just, you know, the Warrens are kind of traveling the country. They're trying to get their name out there. And, you know, the first family in the first film, they just kind of come to them on a whim and everything's done in the privacy of their own home. And there's only like a few outsiders that come in. This one is much different than that, as in the Entfield residence, that is under the public's eye and the scrutiny of all these non-believers and whatever, and they're in the papers and all this. So their case is very well known. In fact, everyone in town knows about them. The neighbors, everybody. And at the same time, the Warrens themselves are now popularized because of the Amityville investigation. So they're under the limelight as is the other house. So got a lot more focus on them and a lot more outside interference, which, you know, has its pros and its cons. Like, they want to expose this kind of stuff so that more people will believe and that more people will, you know, get into the church and fight against these kinds of things, whatever. But also because it just comes with even more scrutiny and you know, cries of fraud and all that shit, which is just not a fun thing to live through. I can only imagine. And that just sucks. Like I'm not saying, I've told you in the last video, like, I don't believe in pretty much anything. But if what they're seeing, like, let's say these movies are true, which, you know, obviously they added and they changed and everything for creative purposes, artistic liberties, whatnot. But let's say something like this actually happened in front of them and they saw all this stuff, then it is real. And if they saw that and they were in that and they know it's real, like they're seeing levitating beds and demons coming out of the walls and all that kind of stuff, if they really did see that, they are either schizophrenic or they are right and there is that shit out there. And to be constantly called a fraud when you're doing nothing but putting your soul on the line, because I feel like what they're going up against a lot of the times, it wouldn't just be death. It could be internal damnation for all we know. So to be out there fighting the fight, protecting people, doing this all just because they want to fucking help people, which I'm not saying that's what the Warrens did. I don't really know much about them. They could have been total scam artists. They probably were. But if they weren't, dealing with this on a daily basis would suck. I'd be like, come on over then. Fucking come on over. The next time we find a legit case, give us a little while. We find mostly people that are hoaxing things. Once we find a legit case, come on the fuck over and let's see how many of you are non-believers at that point. So, I don't know. That just made me think about that when I was watching this. Like, man, what if they were telling the truth? Like, that sucks. Like, it's a small possibility in my mind, but if it is, it's kind of like I always say, what if OJ was innocent? I 100% believe he was guilty. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, what if he was? Oh my God, if like a tape came out tomorrow and it showed, Nicole and Ron getting murdered by somebody else. Oh my God, I and many other people would be like, huh. Ooh, I gotta write him an apology letter. So, I don't know, just being on that side of things. Anyway, let's move on. I like that this film doesn't do that, like, thing where somebody is having something happen to them, and then when they bring in everyone else on the outside, they can never find proof of it until like the very end of the movie. And that gets very, very annoying to me after I watch, 150 fucking films like that in a row. This one doesn't do that, and that was so nice. Like, the mom comes in and she's just like, what is going on here? This is bullshit. Like, she finds something and she's like, here's what's going on. You guys are ungrounded, whatever. And then the dresser slides across the room and shuts the door. And she's just like instantly a believer. And then the cops come over and you think like they're not going to find shit. And then a chair moves itself around the house in front of them. And then they walk outside and they're like, honestly, we are not able to help you. Like, this is beyond our ability to help. You need to consult the church. Like, you need to go over and talk to them. When the police are telling you that they can't handle something and that you need to go, like, talk to the fucking church, you're in trouble. So I just like that everyone and the neighbor, like everybody who was supposed to come over and usually in these films would be like, you're crazy, there's nothing in here. And then everyone would just kind of turn on them, turn their backs, and be the boy that cried wolf kind of scenario to them. So, yeah, I like that they kind of flip that on its head because it gets very old. And I like in the Warrens' house that we see that Ed has been painting, and he does the nun, obviously, but he also has a painting of that tree in the house from the first one, which is really cool. A little callback to the first movie there. And that was neat. And the scene where the shadow is walking around the wall and it gets to the painting, which I don't know why they hung that up. If I was her, I'd be like, oh, hell no, you're not putting that up in this house. Like, we have enough creepy shit in this house already. I saw that in my nightmare. That's the thing that fucking killed you. Whatever. I don't know if she knew that was something that had to do with his death at that moment or not. But I know she was terrified of the damn thing. She doesn't scare easy. So I'd be like, nope, not putting that up. But anyways, we see the shadow walk over. Really cool scene. I really like that a lot. It reminded me a lot. I don't think we're ever going to hear a comparison like this again from anybody on a Conjuring 2. I'd like for you to look around the internet. I guarantee you ain't going to find this one. But it really reminded me of the scene in Conan the Destroyer. Yes, the Conan sequel that everyone seems to hate, but me and a few other people. Daniel White, I think, is a fan as well. I love that fucking movie. Boombada, Will Chamberlain, and all those. Oh, I love that movie. It's so tonally different from the first one. Crazy different. But I just love it. I think it's fun as hell. But anyways, they go up into the little wizard's castle, and all the mirror images walk to each other and then form into the one guy to make him reality, and then it comes through. Just reminded me of that. Okay, I'm gonna just a reason to plug Conan the Destroyer on here. Why not? Movie's awesome. I gotta knock those out sometime. I'll knock out the Conan franchise since I'm doing all of the movies now. God, there's so many series I want to do. non-horror, you have no idea. But I'm trying to stay focused on horror for now, for sure. But I'm sure I'll get to it. And I thought that was interesting that they had the Warrens' daughter, who just didn't seem to be old enough for 6 years to have passed. But I'll have to look at the little girl again. Maybe it's the same actress. If it is, that means she's definitely not old enough, because this movie's only like a couple years after the first one, and it's supposed to be 6 years. That just, I don't know, the jump. I'd have to look back. I just saw it yesterday, but I felt like it wasn't 6 years on that girl, but maybe. Anyways, I like that she was dressed like Chucky. Was that on purpose? It had to be. It had to be a callback to Child's Play, even though this was set before that film would have been released, so it can't be like her dressing like Chucky. Chucky wouldn't have existed at this point in their time. But that was definitely a Chucky outfit. And oh man. So they bring in the media, and she talks on the camera and all that stuff, and that's what brings the Warrens in, and she makes Ed promise, like, they're just gonna go over there and investigate. If anything crazy goes down, they're gonna leave. And you know instantly that shit's going to get broken, otherwise we wouldn't have a movie. And one of the coolest shots in the movie, probably all CGI, but is when the damn pit bull dog turns into the Crooked Man. I thought that visually looked crazy. It was so cool. I loved it. So if that is all CGI, that is one of those rare times where CGI in a lower budget, not low budget, but horror films that don't really ever have big budgets. So in a smaller budget film like this, to see CGI work effectively is rare. So I thought that was excellent. Really freaking cool looking effect there. The whole idea of her putting water in her mouth and then, Bill talking was weird to me, because when Bill talked through her before, her mouth was moving. She was just a vessel, and he was using her to talk through. So I'm confused on that, because shouldn't he still not be able, like, she put the water in her mouth, he has to talk through her, right? So how is he able to talk? Like, why does he even need her if her mouth is filled with water? He can't talk through her. So why does she even need, like, if he can talk without her vocal cords in her mouth, then why doesn't he just do so throughout the film? That didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, personally. I am kind of confused on that. I don't feel like it proves shit. Like, if I was her, I'd be like, well, yeah, I can't have him talk through me because I have water in my mouth. But he does talk, and we do hear him, and her mouth is filled with water. So why couldn't he talk to them without her? Why does she even have to be there? You see what I'm saying? Like, that makes zero sense to me. Anyway, I love Ed and Lorraine's relationship in the first one and this one. Like, their love, their bond, everything works so well for me. If they didn't work, these films would not work anywhere near as well for me. So I just love them, and I am crazy jealous of their relationship. I wish I had that with somebody. The famous cross scene now that was in the trailer, all the crosses turn upside down. I don't know if this is a Blu-ray thing, but you can clearly see Bill in the corner of the room. Like, when it gets over there, he's clearly just standing there plain as day. And then he jumps out. So that was weird. I was like, is that a Blu-ray thing? I think it might be, because I don't remember seeing it in the theater. And man, Ed is just this all-around great guy in the film. As I said, I don't know shit about the guy in real life. He might have been a piece of shit for all I know. But, I mean, he's playing guitar for the kids and singing freaking Elvis, and he's fixing their plumbing, and he's fixing their freaking washing machine down in this flooded-ass basement. And in the first movie, he's, like, rebuilding this guy's carburetor or something. from scratch. He bought something off the thing and he brought it over and he was like building. My God, dude, this dude, Jesus Christ. No wonder she's in love with him. He's a saint. And I love that there's people that are skeptical and trying to prove that this is a fake. And, you know, there's too much media craze. There's too much attention on this now. And, you know, Valak wants them gone. So or I guess there could be a couple different ways to perceive this. I'm going to take it as Valak did it. Made her do it because she says, like, he told me he'd kill my family if I didn't hoax this whole thing, like make it look like a hoax. And so she does. She gets caught on camera and everyone's like, see, it's a fake, we're out of here. And so everyone like doesn't believe her anymore and they bail on her and leave them exposed and alone, which is awesome. I didn't even think about this till right now, but Lorraine wasn't able to communicate with Bill until she left the house. She had to get out of there because like Valak was blocking her or something. I'm not exactly sure how that works, honestly, but I don't really need to. But they leave and they're given a sign, like the tapes fall and it makes an X. X marks the spot. Check this tape out. And they check the tape out and it's a voice of Bill calling like she won't let me go or whatever. And it's showing us that Bill is actually under control of Valak and he's not even the bad guy. He was just the patsy. So was it Valak that wanted them to leave so that he could or it could possess them further and do what it wants to do, whatever its goal was? Or did Bill make her fake it so that he could then connect with Lorraine and tell her what was going on so she could come and help? That's an interesting question. I don't know. Is it obvious? Because I don't know if it is or not. So go ahead and let me know what you think about that one. Maybe I'm just completely missing it and it was clearly one of them over the other. The two tapes being broken up and like one word cut out, whatever, and then the other tape having the other words and putting it together like a puzzle, that was fucking awesome. I thought that was fantastic because we have always seen so many of these recordings and they play it backwards and they play it slower or they speed it up or whatever. But I've never seen like two tapes. Good thing they had two fucking players on them at the exact same time and he was able to fucking rewind and play all. That doesn't matter. It's a film. It's so silly. It doesn't matter at all, but I just always laugh. Like, yeah, okay. It's like when people in movies like open up to the right page in a book. They're like just right in the middle. And they're like, you see what it says here? And they open it up right in the middle and they start reading. You're like, you found a page right in the center of the book. No bookmark, no nothing. Like that quick. Yes, as to the audience, we don't need to spend 5 seconds of them rifling through pages, but it's fun to talk about. And I like that he tries to break into the house and then a couch is like thrown in front of the window. Like, no, you're not getting in. Because I was sitting there like, why aren't these people trying to break in the house? And they hadn't tried yet, but now we get to see that even if they had, this thing wasn't letting them in the house. So I'm not sure what the ultimate goal was there. Like what is, you know, she wants to possess the body and become alive again. Like I think I kind of missed what she were doing. Because it was like throwing her out the window and was going to kill her. But then like Ed got caught in the middle of it and he was going to die with her or in place of her or whatever. But the thing's ultimate goal was to kill her. I don't think so, right? I mean, that wouldn't make any sense because it could just make her grab a knife and stab her fucking throat out. So there had to be more of a desire in mind. Like, what was the ultimate goal here? Was it possession? Was it like ultimate takeover of her body? And then once, like, they weren't letting him in the house, but then it put her upstairs and it was going to kill her, but it could have killed her so long ago. Like, it just gets off on torture. I don't know. I'm not sure the motive was all that clear there. Not that it needs to be, but I was just kind of questioning it myself. Anyway, I like how it's very well illustrated here that Lorraine's only real fear, and this applies to the last film as well, is losing her husband, like losing her family. That's all she cares about. Her daughter's in peril in the first one. and all she cares about is her. Lorraine gets in peril in this first one, and all Ed cares about is saving her. And whatever, they are just this tight fucking family, man. And the only thing that we see them afraid of at all is losing one another, which is extremely endearing and making me sick to my stomach because I'm so jealous. Anyway, and then Ed gets his vision all screwed up. He's like freaking Van Damme in Bloodsport. Anybody? Oh, Van Damme movies. I love them. And I found it interesting that Lorraine would bring a Bible that she defiled and like wrote all over, and she didn't ever look at what she wrote down and try to see if there was a message or try to see what the hell she did. She just thought she ripped it up, but she ripped it up. And I'm guessing they have multiple Bibles. They're pretty God-fearing Christian people, and they work for the church here and there. So I would think they'd just have Bibles laying around. So she's going to bring her Bible that she can't even read like 100 of the pages because she's written all over them, scratched everywhere. Like, why did she bring that? Why didn't she investigate it much longer beforehand? Like, that was it. That was silly, but doesn't matter. It worked and it was cool. And a tree breaks and it becomes that spike that she's fearing is going to kill her husband. And then she calls out Valak's name. He freaking incinerates. And then Ed is holding on to the little girl and he's about to fall. And somehow Lorraine goes over and catches and pulls back up both of them. You know, you hear those stories about the girl who can lift the back end of a car to save her daughter, right? I mean, I guess that's the high that she was on. Like, I'm not losing my husband. I don't care how much they weigh. I'm yanking them back. It doesn't matter even if I'm 100 pounds. And yet again, we get another happy ending here. So 2 films in a row. No one dies and a legit happy ending. No fake out scares, no nothing. Just 2 people completely in love with each other, dancing, and then, you know, it cuts to like the crooked man thing a little bit, but then it's just, that's it. It ends. And then we go to the real recording, the real audio from the other stuff, which I've said in the last video, it just adds such a interesting authenticity to a based on true event story. To see pictures of the real people, to hear real audio, to see footage of the real things, all that stuff is excellent. Excellent decision on those people's parts. So anyway, that's it, man. So we finished up the Conjuring universe here with the 2 Annabelles and the 2 Conjuring films. We got The Nun coming out in September. So until then, I guess we're done with this franchise. All right, guys.